Welcome back. From the Communication Bill to now the Miscellaneous Amendment Bill 2013, arguments and concerns have been raised, though the President is yet to make a move in relation to the new law requiring NGOs to raise 85% of their funding locally. Civil societies have been up in arms saying the law is an assault on basic freedoms. Moreover, the law has been seen as a direct target over the ongoing cases at the ICC. Is that so? And what is the way forward? Of course, to tell us more about that particular amendment is Ken Wafula, President, National Association of Human Rights Activists, and of course, immediate former Chairman, NGO Council. Welcome to the Power Breakfast Show. Well, of course, the last time we were here, we were talking about ICC and the fact that you were accused of having coached witnesses and having been even bribed to some extent. How is that going before we move on to the law?
Mwagazi, I'm very happy, man. I feel relieved by the information that is coming from the ICC and the government. When I was here the last time, I made it categorically clear, and I've said it for 2 years, and I've written articles in all the major newspapers stating very clearly that on the issues of ICC, NGOs are innocent. I am innocent. I did not coach any witness. And I told everybody, I didn't even bribe. I didn't have
procure. According to Dr. Masanga.
Forget about Dr. Masanga. I don't even know the guy. The character, I don't know why he's being entertained in the country and whom he speaks for. But no procurement took place. No NGO that I know in this country was involved in any form of private. But the government is admitting that they actually fixed each other. And I kept on saying, you see, during the Waki Commission, we had two governments in one, and they were not seeing eye to eye. And so when the Waki Commission began its investigations, each group, and I can say this authoritatively, each group was busy looking for witnesses to ensure that they tell Waki it is not them, it is the other group, it's the ODM group, it is the PNU group. And that's how Waki got all the information and all the witnesses. And so when he handed over the report plus everything to Kofi Annan and then to Okambo, information had actually come from this government, from the government. And they know it. They wanted to use us as sacrificial lambs. But you see, the truth will always set us free. I'm now a free man.
So it's especially when people are talking about who fixed who is fixing who. All right, let's talk about the Miscellaneous Amendment Bill 2013. I mean, published back in October 30th, and it just seeks to regulate the finances and activities of non-governmental organizations. What's the problem with that?
What is the status of that amendment? It hasn't been published. It's not in Parliament yet.
They have been published. They were published last week. That is a week ago.
It was published October 30th.
Yeah, October 30th. And I think somebody told me that they are in Parliament now.
Okay.
Anytime they can start discussing them. But
what's the problem?
We haven't said that the bill, the proposed amendments, wants to regulate finances. That is not the aim of these proposed amendments. These proposed amendments are malicious. They are absolutely malicious, and first and foremost, they did not originate from the sector. You see, the Public Benefits Act was passed by the last Parliament and assented to by retired President Mwai Kibaki in January, February, before we went to the elections. And it is a product of a long-drawn discussions and consultations. It all began in 2006 after the 9th Parliament, that was the 9th Parliament, approved the National Policy on NGOs, Sessional Paper number 1 of 2006. And that's when that policy recognized the need to review the laws relating to NGOs in order to strengthen the operations of NGOs, and also to bring in accountability and a responsible way of managing donor funding. And we all work together with the NGO board, the civil society reference group, the NGO council. I remember when we were writing this bill, we really spent up to past midnight in Naivasha just to ensure that the bill captures all our interests and the interests of the state and everybody else. Now, these amendments, I can tell you with a lot of authority that they were brought in by the Cabinet Secretary for Devolution and Planning, Madam Waiguru, and Attorney General, without even bothering to find out views from the government department. The government department in charge of NGOs, which is that parastatal called the National NGOs Coordination Board. They are in the dark over this amendment. Everybody else is in the dark. So I think this is just another way of trying to crack down on the other pillars of state. I mean, the fourth estate, the fifth column, because NGOs fall there, and the rest.
Why does the government want to do that?
Well, there's something called ICC that there was a perception that NGOs participated a lot, and also that NGOs, like mass group, every now and then they have to poke their noses into treasury and how money is being spent and which money has disappeared to where. And this
Isn't
is
it
not
a fact actually that NGOs were involved in ICC?
Some?
To some extent, but not on coaching, procurement, and bribing, no.
To some extent, you mean what?
To some extent, I mean when, for example, witnesses, the working witnesses were being threatened, and they came to my office, the Center for Human Rights and Democracy, and these were people who were distressful, and I decided to help them move out from their homes because they felt that they can be attacked for some time, about for a month or two. But that was when they were working commission witnesses, not when they were ICC. NGOs have been very vocal in terms of looking for accountability for victims of post-election violence. So that is what the extent I mean.
All right. So, well, of course, that has been the concern. Civil society groups coming out and saying this bill is mischievous and full of malice.
Let's talk positive. Is there any positive thing
in this
amendment?
Well, in this amendment, I've gone through all of them, and I think the only positive thing that I have seen is correction of typographical mistakes. That is the only positive thing that but
so just misspelling.
The rest is aimed. For example, now, when you say NGOs will only get 15% of their annual budget from foreign sources.
Yes.
The question is, do we have local sources of funding for NGOs and civil society? The answer is no.
Okay, one of the first one, it says 27A, any funding of a public benefit organization, that's now the new name for NGO, public benefit organization, shall be made through the federation. Which federation?
Again, this is
and not by an individual member organization.
That is what I've been referring to as inverted logic of this amendment. Because an NGO, say in Garissa, writes a proposal to European Union, and they want money to help malnourished children, so that they can be able to attend school. Secures 100 million Kenyan shillings for that project. According to the authors and promoters of that section, then that group will be required to hand over the money to the NGO council. That the federation is the NGO council now, its predecessor. And then the NGO council, which doesn't even know, it doesn't have the background of why that project came up in the first place, it will then hold the money and begin distributing it. You see? That is illogical.
Isn't that's not a matter of accountability?
No, it is not. What the accountability to me will mean, the federation comes up with very strict rules where that NGO, once it has received money, together with the regulatory authority, they can be able to follow up how that money is spent, on what, if they deviate from the earlier project activities and objectives, then they take self-regulatory disciplinary action. That is what we want. But I cannot look for money. It's just like saying, it's just like saying Royal Media gets its own money and profits, and Nation Media Group also gets its own money and then sends the whole money to Media Council to redistribute. That's how it looks like.
The other one, a public benefit organization, that is an NGO, shall not receive more than 15% of its total funding from external donors. What's the justification for that?
I think this government is not being honest. This is a government that has a national budget of 1.6 trillion and a collection of taxes capacity of 800 billion, therefore operating on a deficit of 800 billion.
Yeah.
It is not true that this government has enough money, that it doesn't need the money that NGOs bring into the economy. To say that only 15% of an NGO's budget should come from foreign donors is to engage in intellectual dishonesty, because we do not have local sources of funding for NGOs. We do not have them. Where? Show me. Where? Royal Media Foundation?
The concern is if you are going to receive bulk of your funding from foreign organizations, then then a lot of the projects that you will be establishing will be purely foreign driven and nothing to do with the local.
This is not the first time NGOs are receiving. Why are we arguing like we are now going to start receiving foreign money? We have been receiving foreign money since we got independence. We are what we are today as a nation. Our democratic space has opened up because of foreign funding of NGOs, and all those people who are most of the people who enjoy democratic spaces in parliament, the president and everybody else are beneficiaries of this. And I can tell you without fear of contradiction that the first family, especially our gracious first lady and her children, are really involved in Ahadi Kenya NGO, which has been helping people who are infected by Jikas. And last year, there was this program in Katundu South to help wash the feet of Jika-infested voters so that they can be able to come out in large numbers and vote for their president. So these proposed amendments